but like it kind of reminds me of the story of Joseph in the Old Testament, right? Like, I mean, at 17 years old, his brothers are going to kill him, and they're like, we'll sell him as a slave. And then he goes and he's in, years go by and he's there, and then he gets traded to the Egyptians and he's in Potiphar's house, and it takes years to go up. And then Potiphar's wife wants to sleep with him, and he's like, nah, fam. And he runs away and leaves his thing behind, and he goes into the prison, and that's at 30 years old. So like that's from 17 being sold in slavery, took him to get to 30 to build his way up to where he was, and now he's back down in the prison. And then he's there for about another 10 years, because it talks about when he goes into the Pharaoh, he's 40. And it's all of these things, and then he gets promoted over basically second in command to only the Pharaoh. And then his brothers who sold him into slavery come back to Israel, not realizing it's him because they think their brother is dead. He's like 45 at this point, so they haven't seen him in 30 years. Yeah. I don't know who this bearded gentleman is.
And it was because he was interpreting dreams, right?
He interpreted the cupbearer's dream in prison, which helped. And then the cupbearer remembered him like almost 10 years later or 7 years later, and he interpreted for the Pharaoh, and then like called the Pharaoh out in the middle of it, was like, here's what your dream means. And then starts giving the Pharaoh advice, which like you didn't do. It was like, so here's what you should do, blah, blah, blah. And the Pharaoh goes, which of course you could just imagine everyone there was like, what? Dude, shut up. Stop. Yeah. Stop, bro. And I guarantee you the cupbearer that recommended was like, I'm going to die. I am getting murdered tonight. But then Pharaoh ends it with, he's like, well, obviously you're the wisest person and have more discernment than anyone I've ever met. So how about you're just in charge of everything? And ended up like, so once again, Pharaoh would be considered not a good ruler, like would not be a Christ follower, right? So his boss was not something of that. Yet he still worked diligently as though working to the Lord. Ended up becoming second in command and saving basically the entire region, including his family.